Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack.
And I'm Miles from the Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that answers the question,
what if Stephen A. Smith spoke at a normal volume and his opinions were based on fact and not completely insane? This probably isn't the best way to describe this.
No, you just negated the two things Stephen A. Smith is known for.
Okay, what if The Daily Show was hosted by us?
Yes, but who is us?
Okay, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles. I love soccer and get very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
He's also a former lobbyist who quit politics for comedy.
Yeah. Well, look, we covered news, the president, pop culture, and we're both very big sports fans.
I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach and ESPN alum Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm named after Miles Davis, the legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
So search the Daily Zeitgeist. If you don't know how to spell zeitgeist, like most of us, just type in Daily Z. It'll figure it out for you. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
It's Friday, and he is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
And I am David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. What do?
We give the people what they want.
Huge news in the world of sports today. Kyrie Irving was presented to Boston in the Boston press. Ezekiel Elliott's suspension is now on hold. But nothing in the sports world is more important than this Nas slander from Lonzo Ball from his new reality show on Facebook. Let's listen.
Y'all outdated, man. Don't nobody listen to Nas no more.
Face up, lean forward a little bit.
Only smaller.
Yeah, give me a big smile.
Real hip hop is Migos, Future. Hey. Yeah.
We all live in Henry's face.
Jalen Rose, old man Jalen, are you going to stand for this Nas slander?
Hit the brakes.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no. This is why we started the show with this, because I knew it was going to get Jalen going.
Oh, my goodness.
Old man Jalen, just think before you speak, okay? Because you cannot take the words back.
Now, who's been a bigger cheerleader of the ball movement than me? Like, seriously, who? Do you know anybody?
Marcellus comes to mind, but you're up there.
Okay. I always talk about there will be no slander of who on our television show or timeline.
Well, it's a long list. I'm not going to name everybody.
But name one.
LeVar Ball is one of them.
Okay. He didn't make these comments.
Lonzo did.
Okay. Lonzo. Gather around a campfire.
Okay.
Put your ear a little closer to the speaker. Turn it up as loud as possible. Let me teach you something, young man. Don't ever disrespect Nas.
I know.
Okay? I ain't gonna even go through the litany of reasons why, because I'm not gonna waste my time. That's number one. Hold on, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Let me cook.
The producers in our ear telling us to move on.
I don't care. We can do the whole show on this. Okay. What Magic Johnson is to basketball, Nas is to rap music.
I don't have to live during his time to know that Mozart was a great musician, you know?
And correct. And so this is what I also want to teach young people. You don't have to diss somebody else to big up somebody that you're currently liking. Number one. Number two, if you want to be an artist, just like being an athlete, you should do your homework and your history.
Oh, can I jump in here? Number three, I've heard your rap, Lonzo Ball. You ain't Nas, Future, Migos, or even Dame Lillard. Okay, continue.
Okay, so here's your homework lesson. When you finish with your drills, between the legs, behind the back, shooting your jump shot, here's what you do. You sit down. I want you to put a Bible on one side. And I want you to put Illmatic on the other side.
And then listen to it and tell me which one's more important.
And I don't want you to leave that space until you learn the entire words to every song on that album. Period.
Why are you so bothered by this? Like, what don't you understand about a 19-year-old person not respecting the forethought fathers of the art form that he is trying to participate in?
You just said the key word. Forefather, respect.
2 words.
And so for a young MC, it's just like being a young athlete. You have to be a student of the game,
Good
first
point.
off.
Good point, Jalen Rose.
Next off, if I'm talking about greatest MCs of all time, just like if I'm talking about greatest basketball players of all time, and I needed to do a parallel, I wouldn't be far off if I said Magic Johnson equals Nas.
No. Like, might not be the number one spot, but in everybody's top 5.
And so this is just basic service. You know how you get frustrated sometimes when you're on your cell phone? It's not like you in the mountains. It's not like you underwater, and your service isn't working.
Everyone's got that one spot in their house. Like, how come when I'm on my back porch, I can't be on the phone at the same time?
Right. It's almost like you're in a bunker or something.
Yes.
And so the blasphemy.
You're so fired up about this.
I can't believe it. Because here's the other thing I know. LeVar Ball wasn't sitting there when he said that. He wasn't. I know he wasn't. That's what it was. LeVar wasn't there.
LeVar wasn't there.
Because I know LeVar know it up.
Yeah. Oh, I know LeVar. I know LeVar knows every lyric, even AZ's lyric. The only feature on the whole album to Illmatic. Oh, Jalen. I can't. You know what? Man. Let's just do the rest of the 2 hours just talking about Lonzo Ball and Nas.
Let's do it.
Do you want to do that? Let's do it.
You know what? Let's just send the rest of this show and dedicate it to Nas, who's a Virgo. And it's that time of year.
I love how you dropped his astrological sign.
I got it from DJ Envy listening to Breakfast Club today.
Can we move on now, please? LeVeon Bell yesterday was applying for a job at Dairy Queen. That's just going to put some pounds on you, LeVeon Bell. That's one thing I want to let you know. If you're trying to make weight for training camp, it's going to be very hard after you work at Dairy Queen. And then he was freestyling about his salary requests. Let's listen.
AB. Yeah, I see y'all, cuz. Big dog, I got pups bigger than air, bud. Are you aware, bud? Why I'm not at practice? I'm gonna need 17, cause 26 is savage. They say the franchise should be enough. Pockets of Professor Clump.
Come on, lad.
Let me get back to my day. I can't keep showing Buddy love.
He said he was gonna show up at training camp September 1st. He showed up to the Steelers practice facility today, September 1st, but then left after half an hour. What happened during that half an hour?
What happened is he went into the office. He saw the GM that just got an extension. He shook his hand, looked at him and said, congratulations. He also went down in the locker room, saw his head coach, Mike Tomlin, who also got an extension, and said, congratulations. He walked around the locker room. Where's Big Ben? I want to make sure he see me. Gave him some dap. What up, though, to AB?
Use the bathroom.
And then I'm out.
And then he's gone. He's like, I said I was going to be here. I'm a man of my word. I'm here. But I still need my money.
Absolutely. And so I like the fact that he's created a way to have fun around something that's so very serious.
Very serious.
Filling out the job application at Dairy Queen, busting a freestyle rap while he's working out. You hear that, Lonzo Ball? While he's working out. And here's another thing for you athletes that want to be MCs, and I can't help but go back to this.
You're going to go back to this, Jalen. You are so emotionally affected by Lonzo Ball talking about Nas.
Because Nas is an all-time great. Just listen to Ether.
Okay.
You know what? He gonna get now. You're gonna get an Ether. Oh man, this is gonna be out of control.
Do you remember that story about Zach Randolph when he was in Los Angeles and there was this whole thing about blocking the street and the police came and he got charged with felony possession of medicinal marijuana with intent to distribute and resisting arrest? Well, guess what? They have reduced the marijuana charge to a misdemeanor possession of over an ounce of marijuana. Here's my question. What's he doing with that much medicinal, Jalen? Like, what is he doing walking around with that much medicinal? Like, what was he planning to do that night?
Well, he probably just copped it and was going to store it.
Okay.
When I first saw the charges, I was like, let me Google how much money he's made in the league again.
Exactly. It's like $150 million. He's like, bagging up nickels.
But here's the other thing. A lot of times, when you've made that kind of bread, I would deem that all of the people that he was hanging with that night, champagning and campaigning with, he probably is the highest paid prospect of the crew. So he probably had to do the purchase. That's all.
Let's move on before we get fired.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
I guess we have to address it. It's Kyrie Gate, day 43. They flew Kyrie up from Miami, where he was filming the Uncle Drew movie. They brought Gordon Hayward back out. They had a big press conference, and Kyrie talked about how excited he was to join the Celtics. Let's listen.
To be in a place like this where everyone will gravitate not only to us as individuals, but us as a collective group and a team. And they've done it past years before us, and they will continue to do it past years after us. And I just want to be a part of that.
What do you think he's really getting at there when he says that?
There's levels to this. And for Kyrie, he's an all-star in his own right. He's an all-NBA caliber performer.
Mm-hmm.
He's a champion. He performed on the highest stage.
Taking over finals games.
But he was playing with an icon. And when you get a chance to play with first ballot, the first room, the VIP area Hall of Fame type players,
question mark GOAT,
are still in their prime, things are going to revolve around them. Mm-hmm. And it uniquely, basically playing in his hometown. And so for LeBron, when he returned to the team, he just looked down at the record like, okay, no playoffs, one of the worst records in the league, got first round pick. Oh, Anthony Bennett, bust. Andrew Wiggins, you know what? Not in the letter. I'm going back because I think I can elevate Kyrie and Kevin Love to the levels that we were able to play in Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That's really what it was all about. Yeah. And it was give or take because they learned from one another. And as Kyrie now has elevated, he put himself in position, and it's not about the money. Kyrie Irving was getting a max deal and playing on Team USA before LeBron ever returned.
His salary's done. Like, Kyrie knows what he's going to make.
He would have got big money in Cleveland. The Cavs would love to build around him and give him elite level money. So it's not about the bread. He doesn't want the money. You heard what he wants. He wants the power. And so now playing with the Celtics, he wants to be the headliner in the face of the franchise. Yeah.
He was asked specifically if he had spoken to LeBron James since the trade, and here's what he said, quote, I haven't spoken to James, and my intent, like I said, was for my best intentions. To look back at the amount of ground we covered in the 3-year span, to really realize how special that was and how much stuff happened in that amount of time. I'd be sitting up here and telling you guys a lie if I didn't tell you I learned so much from that guy. I think, because I do this as a media member, we take the poll quote, we run with it. Oh, Kyrie Irving hadn't spoken to LeBron James. But it has to be recognized that he was very respectful and appreciative, not just of the Cleveland organization and fans, but of his relationship with LeBron, which many people think was the reason he requested a trade. What did you take away from this statement?
I have no problems with the way Kyrie is handling his situation and conducting his future, because what he's done is take control of it. At the end of this year, where's LeBron going to play?
No one really knows, to be honest with you.
Okay, so if LeBron leaves, now he's scrambling just like everybody else. If I can put myself in position to control my own destiny and go play for a list of teams that he threw out there and ended up with a number 1 seeded team in the Boston Celtics, that's a truly good look. And now it's all about getting out on the floor and showing and proving. The one thing I will say, though, he didn't just call him by his government name. He called him by his last name.
That's it. It was in parentheses, but still, it was like, I had one problem with the way Kyrie handled all this. You got to wear a tie, dude. You got to wear a tie. Come on. It's a press conference. You just got the job. You got to wear a tie. But secondly is, I feel like he has really taking control of his destiny. He wants stability. Everyone in their professional life wants some stability. And he's saying, not only has James dictated my success and my team's success for the last 3 years, but he's going to dictate what's going to happen to me this season after this one, whether he stays or leaves. I can't have, not only while he's my teammate, LeBron James directly affect how people view me and how successful I am on the basketball court and my team is. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to take a little bit charge myself, request a trade, and go somewhere where I feel much more stable, which is exactly what I think he did. This is truly a win-win deal from both sides. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And if you're not the oldest in your sibling dynamic, you can appreciate this analogy I'm about to use. It's like being the younger brother or the younger sister in the situation. How many times do you say, stop treating me like a little kid? Stop treating me like little brother. Stop treating me like little sister. I've earned my own right. I've earned my own respect. I'm trying to earn my own name. And so with that, now he has the opportunity to do so on a Boston Celtics team that has really done a good job of parlaying assets.
This Boston Celtics team has parlayed asset and completely revamped their starting rosters. Jalen, you are the person that really brought this to my attention. What is going to be the difference between last year's Celtics and this year's Celtics?
They're going to play more conventional. And what I mean by that is the Boston Celtics are a team that predicates itself on ball movement and player movement to get the shot, not the other way around, a la the Golden State Warriors. That's truly what they want to do. Now, for Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, how do both of them truly get their offense? Dominating the ball, isolation situations, a lot of pick and rolls. A player like Al Horford, who plays center for the Boston Celtics, may not be an accident why he's the only returning player. Really good passer.
If you look at the Celtics starting five from last year and this year, you don't see a lot of commonality.
Correct. And so that conventional wisdom of Kyrie Irving growing his game and being able to function off the basketball, off the strong side, and allow others to create offense for themselves, and while he creates offense for others. Remember, a great game for Kyrie and his averages were 25 points, one of the league leaders, 5 assists, not one of the top guards at that assist category. Obviously, when you have LeBron James getting 8 assists, you're not going to lead your team in points. And even if you score that level of point in assists, and if you even put up big numbers, you're not going to lead your team in points. So this is going to be a chance for his game to grow.
All this means to me is I now know exactly what I will be doing on October 17th. October 17th is circled on my calendar and highlighted because that is the opening day when the Cleveland Cavaliers host the Boston Celtics. We've received word that Ezekiel Elliott's suspension has been held. They pushed the pause button on it, trying to avoid some more legal scuttlebutt. So he will be available week 1, it certainly looks like. But as we head into week 1, we wanted to preview a little bit of this upcoming NFL season. And we will start at the quarterback position because the quarterbacks I'm not about to talk about aren't at the top of the game. They're not at the bottom of the game. They could go either way. And I'm going to set it up. And you're going to tell me which way these quarterbacks are going to go. Are you ready?
Sure, I want to hear more about Ezekiel Elliott. But yeah.
First, are we going to see Matt Ryan or are we going to see Matty Ice? Matty Ice is the guy that started all 16 games of his rookie year, led them to the playoffs, an 11-5 season record. Matt Ryan is the guy who lost the Super Bowl and lost a fumble last year. Who are we going to see?
I want to quote the great American philosopher Raekwon. Treasure is the glaciers of ice.
I like this.
That's the Matty we're going to see. I understand that the team basically gave up the biggest deficit in Super Bowl history and lost. But it wasn't just one side of the ball. And more importantly, a lot of that had to do with the play caller.
It's true. This was a complete breakdown of every aspect of the team. And look, money quarterbacking is easy. But come on now. You got to run the ball. You do. You got to run the ball. Eat some clock. You're up by a lot. Like, this is simple. We all played Madden. We know how this works. Keep the clock moving.
His weapons return. Julio seems to be healthy from a toe injury that continued to nag him last year. So I absolutely expect Matty Ice.
Good. I hope Freeman and Coleman are 100% throughout the year as well because they were such a dynamic duo last year. Since everyone's preparing for their fantasy drafts, I got to tell you, Matt Ryan was second last year in fantasy scoring, but be wary of regression. He has only one other 300-point season in his 9-year career, and that was in 2012. This one, I don't even know. I want to hear what you have to say. Are we going to see Cam Newton or Cam Olton? Basically, you don't need me to set it up. Anyone who's been watching the NFL the last 2 years has seen two very different versions of Cam Newton. So my question for you, Jalen Rose, is which version do you expect to see show up this year?
Cam Newton. and I turn around and I normally pay attention to the weapons somebody has. He still has Jonathan Stewart. Now he has Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I love McCaffrey. I don't know why. I just love that guy.
Who's underestimated, running between the tackles. That may be cultural.
For some reason, I love Christian McCaffrey.
He's going to be able to split out of the backfield. He's going to be a dynamic weapon for them. They still have Funchess, who's going to continue to improve as a receiver. Ted Ginn Jr., I think he started to alleviate some of his problems with drops as the year progressed. Greg Olsen is a stud who on your fantasy team, if you draft him, know that he likes to play every snap of the season. So I think a healthy Cam Newton gets back to his MVP form.
Will we see Cam Newton healthy? On March 30th, he had surgery to repair a partially torn rotator cuff. You got to remember, March 30th, it was still kind of cold out. You know, it wasn't even summertime. It wasn't even April. You were still wearing like a fur-lined winter coat. And that's when he had the surgery, and he is still not at 100%. That is certainly a concern for Panthers fans.
I'll tell you this. As somebody that chose not to get surgery and is not a quarterback in the NFL, I had a partially torn rotator cuff, and it took almost 2.5 years to recover.
You're not fully recovered from that. I hang out with you all the time. You might not be fully recovered from that. If I throw passes to one side of your body, you catch it a lot different than the other side. Let's just say that. I haven't seen you go for a rebound with your right hand in my life.
Not going to be able to do it.
Next, we have this one. Andrew Luck or Andrew Unlucky? We know who Andrew Luck is. He's the 3-time Pro Bowler. He's the NFL passing touchdowns leader in 2004. Andrew Unlucky is the guy that can't get on the field.
I have to say the horseshoe is going to have to deal with Andrew Unlucky.
Oh, no. Wait, I love what you did there, Jalen Rose. Great turn of phrase.
Because anytime the owner, Jim Irsay, comes out at this point of the year and it's at the bottom of the ticker that Andrew Luck may not be playing week 1, when Andrew Luck hasn't even practiced all year, that lets me know that he's going to miss a few weeks at least.
Mm-hmm.
And so playing on a team that doesn't have a really good offensive line, has never truly established a ground game with him under center, while they still have T.Y. Hilton, who's become a really nice receiver on the outside.
Yep.
I think Unlucky has to be the answer to this.
I'm afraid we are going to see Andrew Unlucky. And it's going to be one of those things where you're like, wait, he's the second highest paid quarterback in the entire league? He's making how much this year, and how many games did he play? How much is that per game? $5 million?
Get your hand out of my pocket.
Moving on, we have, and this is brilliant from our producer, Carson.
What's our producer's name that did this?
John Lawrence. John Lawrence, because everybody just thinks Reggie's the only person who works on the show. We got staff of like 12 people. We got people that no one's ever heard of. We got Brian Barkis in the editing room. John Lawrence in Bristol connecting us. We got Pete Saccone running the whole thing. We got Harlan Edelman. Carlos. Yeah, everybody out here. We have our makeup artists, a whole slew of them. No, they never get shout-outs. Everyone just calls it as a shout-out Reg.
Barron, Alex, Curtis.
I know. I can't name everybody. We were close there. Yeah. Who's going to show up? Carson Palmer or Carson Daly? First of all, do you know who Carson Daly is?
I do, the nighttime host. Nighttime show host.
Oh, good job, Jalen Rose.
I like your show.
Man, I used to love TRL. If you're my age, TRL like ran your whole life.
No doubt. I like Trevor Noah now, too. I'm a big fan of his.
Carson Palmer is obviously the person who led all kinds of records in 2005. In 2015, remember the year he had then? He's been doing it for over a decade. Carson Daly didn't play that well last year, let's be honest.
I'm going to have to say Carson Daly.
Yeah? Why is that, Mr. Rose?
Just because Father Time and Gravity are undefeated.
Last time we saw Carson Palmer on the field, no, this is in 2015. Do you remember the NFC Championship game? We had 4 interceptions and lost 2 fumbles. That's 6 turnovers. That's 6 possessions that your team is lost because of you.
But also that same year, he led the NFL in total quarterback rating, and he was the comeback player of the year. But the point behind this conversation is that was a couple of years ago.
That was a couple of seasons ago. Yeah. Last season, remember how hot you were in the Cardinals last season? Week 1, week 2, week 3. You said, oh, sleeper Cardinals. That went away quick.
But all I know is Larry Fitzgerald led the league in receptions, and Johnson emerged as an elite back in the game. So that level of balance hopefully helps him out. And Bruce Arians is one of the more creative offensive coaches and better coaches in the entire league.
And this one, I'm not even going to make you say this because this is sort of
kid.
This whole thing is predicated, like this whole segment could be called the Eli Manning segment because you never know what you're going to get with Eli Manning. Which Eli Manning do you think we're going to get this year?
I think we're going to get an explosive Eli Manning because Odell Beckham looking
weapons.
for a big deal.
He's got weapons.
And they just brought in Brandon Marshall.
They got Shepard.
They have Shepard.
That's like one of the best receiving corps in the league.
But the problem with the Giants, it's really hard to pass the football when you have a bad offensive line and you don't have a consistent running game.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. We love the voicemails. We get to hear you, listen, feel you. And if you leave those voicemails, we'll play them on the show just like this.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Marvin from Perth. Shout out Marvin from Detroit. Shout out Reggie. Shout out Daniel. Shout out Big Crown. I'm alive and well. Haven't been taken by the Kangaroos yet. I have a question. What do the Boston Celtics need in order for them to win a championship? LeBron has pretty much been their kryptonite ever since our last title in 2008. What do we need to be able to get past him this season and for seasons to come?
Oh, I can answer this one, Jalen.
Shout out.
I can definitely answer this one. First of all, thanks for checking in, Marvin from Perth. As our entire staff was concerned about you, you know, it's always good when you haven't heard from a close friend for a while. Just check in. Let us know you're okay.
And also, thank you for continuing to listen because that means he or somebody he knows had to be actually listening to the show yesterday.
Exactly. I was afraid that he was going to miss that episode. Appreciate it. We put the Marvin from Perth bat signal up and he responded. So here's kind of what everybody that doesn't play in the Bay needs to win a championship. They need an injury to a major warrior. You know what I mean? That's something I could see it happening. I would pick the Cavs right now on paper to win a 7-game series against the Celtics. However, it's not impossible the Celtics win that. And if you get to the finals, you just need something to happen to a warrior. That's all.
The Warriors, I agree with you, my esteemed colleague, are clearly the favorite to win the NBA championship. And I'm just going to start with this year. But I'm going to say something I don't think people truly realize when they look at the teams on paper. This is not Mayweather-McGregor.
No.
Meaning he could be at the strip club every night and still show up and get a TKO.
This is not that at all.
So if you really look deep into the Cleveland Cavaliers roster, they got a squad.
They're deep. It is deep. Deep is the right word.
And so once Dwayne Wade gets on the team, Isaiah Thomas gets healthy, they've already added Derrick Rose. They still kept a core group of their squad intact, obviously, other than Kyrie.
I want to say this. Don't sleep on Kyle Korver. Like, Kyle Korver did not perform in the finals, even the entire playoffs, the way that I expected him to, but he didn't have that much time to integrate himself into the roster, and there's a reason they signed him. Like, Kyle Korver is a perfect complement to LeBron James.
And so, like, the Warriors aren't going to just breeze through this thing. But, yes, if you have to pick a favorite, they are that team.
Absolutely. Another thing not to sleep on is if you think back to those finals games, a lot of Richard Jefferson, you know? And people are saying, like, oh, who should guard KD? Like, maybe Richard Jefferson should guard KD. And now that's Jay Crowder. And I love Richard Jefferson as a podcast personality. I do not love him as a defender of Kevin Durant in the National Basketball Association. Marvin, thanks so much for checking in with us. We appreciate you listening every day. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. It's Caleb, man. From St. Louis. Shout out 314. Shout out Reg. Man, my question is, I just recently moved to Denver, and man, I've never really been a big Broncos fan, so I'm rolling with the Raiders this year, and I'm getting a lot of flack for it. And my question is, do you think Marshawn Lynch is going to be as effective as he was before retirement? All right, guys, keep giving the people what they want. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, Caleb, let me first say, as is I've spent the last 2 decades of my life as a die-easy sports fan, so don't let people give you flack. You know, I fluctuate which teams I root for weekly, not just yearly. Not, you know what I mean? Like I'll root for one team, another team, another team, another team, and it will not bother me. So the only person's opinion you should be worried about is the person in the mirror. I'm starting to change my opinion on Marshawn Lynch, Jalen Rose. When he first signed, I was very concerned about his age, the wear and tear, taking a year off. And then I started thinking about this. The Raiders have, if not the second best offensive line in football. And as we saw with Ezekiel Elliott, you don't run the ball alone. You run the ball with the 5 to 6 guys in front of you that are blocking. So maybe he will not have to face the wear and tear that he did when he was in Seattle.
And if you look at how the Raiders' offense is structured, they have a lot more balance on the outside. And so, therefore, he won't see as many 8 and 9 man boxes with Carr in the center, and obviously Crabtree on one side, Amari Cooper on the other. So I understand where you're coming from, but the one thing about sports is you take a year off for a reason.
Yep.
And so the position that he does play, while he may still be the physical specimen, you know what happens the year you take off? It seems like everybody else gets bigger and stronger and faster.
That's a good
point. So I am not questioning his heart or ability to be productive. I'm just wondering if he's going to be able to sustain the level of contact and still continue to get up from it from a week-to-week basis after having time off.
Thanks so much for the call, Caleb. Enjoy Denver. Recreational, medicinal. Let's move on.
Yo, Jalen Jacoby was good. It's J Money from the A. Reggie, shout out. I might get a wave cap to keep the waves intact. But look, Jacoby, this is for you. I'm a long-time listener. I put people onto this podcast all the time. I'm a person. I need y'all to give me what I want and play this voicemail. Because, Jacoby, this is especially for you. Game of Thrones, crazy fan theory. Bran is actually the Night King. He goes back in time, becomes the Night King to unite all the houses, stop all the fighting. Jalen, I love the power soliloquy you gave. I love Power and Game of Thrones. So, man, come to Atlanta one day, guys. Let's eat some wings, eat some lobster, drink some vino, watch Power, watch Game of Thrones, talk about basketball. Hey, you guys, come on now. I got to put this on the radio. This was straight off the dome, too. Hey, but love the show. Keep giving the people what they want. Shout out.
Yeah, I can't lie, Jalen. That sounded like a nice invite. You know, it's Friday. It's Friday evening. He's like, come out, eat some lemon pepper wings, drink some vino. I was like, you know what, J Money? That sounds great. If I wasn't 3,500 miles away, I'd be right there. Jalen, we did have a question about Power yesterday, and I asked listeners if they didn't want to get Power spoilers to turn the volume down on the knob for 30 seconds. You went on for what, 8 minutes?
Yes,
9 minutes? You just kept going. If I didn't stop you, you'd still be talking about different plot lines of Power. But this is not a spoiler for Game of Thrones. This is a very popular fan theory that Bran is the Night King. I personally do not subscribe to it. I could go on a very nerdy, long rant about it. But the fact of the matter is the Night King was created by the Children of the Forest. I don't think Bran would go back in time to become the Night King. It doesn't really add up. I think Bran is just chilling by the fire, all-knowing, omnipresent, not that helpful, though. If I had a homeboy that knew everything that was happening right now on this planet and everything that happened leading up to this moment, I would have a lot of questions. We wouldn't just be small talking.
Well, you do. That's me.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Jalen Rose is the three-eyed raven, everybody. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Jalen Jacoby, what up? It's Chris Porter from Kansas City. My question is, would you guys be able to do like a episode breakdown, like an NBA preview, what you guys used to do on Grantland, just for like one episode, do like maybe 3 minutes per team, but just break down the NBA coming up for the regular season? Appreciate it. Just let me know. Keep giving the people what they want.
First of all, Reggie, play the Podfather music, please. For those of you that weren't big fans of Grantland, Jalen and Bill did what was one of my most fulfilling projects in my producing career. It was one of the things that made me the most happiest was the 30-team in 30 days NBA preview that we did at Grantland.
And if you find that you don't like my ways, well, you can send me back in 30 days.
It was so great. I really enjoyed it. Bill enjoyed it. Jalen enjoyed it. The production staff absolutely hated it because they had to work 20-hour days for an entire month. And all I gave them was like a nice dinner at the end of it. But still, Chris, we will never, ever be able to replicate that. But we will have something like that for you this year from Jalen Jacoby. I don't have anything planned, but, I just like to say things like that to hold me to him for later. Thanks so much for all your calls. Don't forget, if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave voicemails and we'll play them right in the show. Yep. We're going to open up our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed right now. Take questions from our audience, our listeners, and our followers on Twitter. Make sure you follow the @Jalen Jacoby account. Very controversial account amongst the staff because we have a simple philosophy here. Jalen Rose, before we get to the Twitter questions, I have to remind you that Brock Osweiler got released by the Browns. Brock Osweiler got released by the Browns. Like, they're straight up paying this dude $16 million this year. And then it's like, you know what? We don't even want you around. We don't have even locker space for you. We're going to start Deshaun Kaiser over you. I love the Browns.
I got a job for Brock. He could come work the board next to Reggie Noble on our show.
So we're calling Kaepernick is still like, what? Like, you paid this dude $16 million just to go away, and I can't get a penny? What? All right, the first question that we have is from Easy. Easy the Prophet wants to know, do either of you mow your own yard, or are you too Hollywood now? He's making some assumptions, I live in an urban environment. We don't really have a yard in my house.
I'm not mowing anything.
I don't even have room for a lawnmower in my garage.
So you can call that whatever you want to call it. The bottom line is that was one of my motivations growing up, by the way. I was one of those kids that had multiple jobs. I would carry bags at the gas station. I would carry bags at the supermarket. I'll valet the cars. Detroit, it gets cold. I earn the trust of the customers. I'll take their bags out to the car, put them in the car, valet the car, keep the car warm. I used to get bread like that. Pumping gas at the gas station.
I went to my neighbor's yard that was way overgrown, and I wrote them a note saying, hey, I live across the street. I'll mow your whole yard for $12. And they're like, no doubt, go do it. That was like a 4-hour job. I really priced myself out of that one. I should have been like, I'll mow your yard, and then we can talk about how much later.
But I love you because that was my number. And the reason why you say 12, because they give you 15 and let you keep 3.
Yeah, you know how that goes. We all know how that goes.
You know how you go to restaurants and be like, $7
$7, especially at a bar, $7. You know what I like to do sometimes? Just take $1 off the top. It's like, I'm keeping $1 just for that. Just because you try to get me on this. Thank you so much for the question, Easy. Really appreciate that.
Easier said than done.
Shout out.
Raymond wants to know, Jalen, was there ever a year you thought you should have been an All-Star? If so, what year? Something tells me you got an answer for this one.
3 of them. 2000, 2001, and 2002.
Win the All-Star. What's that feeling? Because I know you
2003, I don't know how much. I would say a 4-year period between 2000 and 2003.
When it was officially announced and you saw yourself, I'm going to say especially, 2001 was when you were really like averaging 22 or something. It was like, when you saw that the team was announced and you weren't on it, what was that feeling?
The feeling was like, I wish the fans can vote.
That's really why you're against the fan voting, isn't it?
Yep. I felt like that before I was in that situation, but it's something else when you're living it. And when you come up in an era, and by no means am I saying that I'm ever on the level of some of the people I'm about to name, but when you come up at a time where in the league is Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, my big brother Reggie Miller, like, those guys taking up spots regardless.
Yes. You did play with a lot of legends.
And so then it's other guys that got a chance to sneak in there 1 or 2 years, like Allen Houston and Spree. Then it's Jamal Mashburn. And then playing on the Pacers, it was like, we're going to take 2 players. And by the way, the player that they always took, it was like, of course we're taking Reg.
Of course.
But in 1 year, I'm like, okay, all right, congratulations, Rick. Bring me a T-shirt back. All right, Antonio. You know what I mean? Sign a jersey for me.
Dale Davis?
All right, Big D squared.
Come on now. You must have been salty. I know that you were like all nice and cordial and gave everybody a pound and told them congratulations. But I know you in your heart, you were just like, oh, come on. Dale Davis doesn't even get buckets.
One thing, Reggie felt so bad for me, he took me on a private plane with him. Like, come on, you going anyway.
Yeah. Do you know what? What makes me sad about that is it's kind of like a championship because, like, you would always be introduced as NBA All-Star Jalen Rose or former All-Star Jalen Rose, and you earned it. You earned a spot. Like, Eddie Jones was a starter one year. You know what I mean? And he gets introduced as former All-Star Eddie Jones every time he goes to a charity thing or goes to a media hit. But you know what, Jalen? You're an all-star here, Jalen Jacoby.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm gonna make the fans write you in next year. We'll make a campaign. We're gonna get you voted in. We'll get you voted in. Maybe you could be the all-star celebrity game coach or something like that. Maybe we can get you that.
I've done that.
You've been an all-star.
We're 1-0.
You're a former all-star.
We beat Bill and Zach Lowe.
Don't bring that up. You know I'm very sensitive about that evening. I'm very sensitive about that evening. They kicked me off the bench. I'm gonna tell the truth. They kicked me off the bench.
Bring it. Why? What happened?
They kicked me off the bench. They kicked me off the bench. I'm not telling that story. But it wasn't for whatever reasons you're thinking. Let's move on because I'm about to get fired. L-Dog wants to know, where did the tradition of cutting the nets come from? Great question, L-Dog. Great question. Like, at what point was it like, yeah, we won the game, let me get that net? Like, where did that happen from?
The great thing about being a multimedia personality is I know it all.
Oh, you know this? You don't know this. You know this?
This is one of the things I don't know.
Yeah, okay, good. I was about to say.
And it's the first time that's ever happened to me in life.
I'm
going to take a guess.
I have some footage that refutes that, but continue.
So I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
Playing in the neighborhood, growing up, it was chain nets.
Mm-hmm. Not taking those. Also, a lot of hurt fingers on those. I've heard a couple fingers on those.
No doubt.
I've heard some fingers on those before. Going up for a block and swinging your arms around. Woo.
Preach.
Woo, bleeding. And then playing the next possession on offense with your finger wrapped up in your shirt, just trying to stop the bleeding. Don't pass me the ball.
That's why I think people look at the player of today, and obviously they're more fit to me. They take their training 12 months, 365 days. Players back in the day are what I consider working out. Back really in the day, 60s and 70s, people would play in the league and they'd have to go get a regular job. Okay? So I think playing outside in low-top Converse that are already like walking on the ground anyway and falling, hitting your elbow on the concrete, and your back and your knees, I think that made the player tougher. I truly do.
Well,
and so this is when you started to cut down the nets.
This is why I love doing this show with you, because you will start by saying, I don't know the answer, but then we'll go on a very entertaining, articulate, paint the picture for a story, just giving the staff time to actually Google it and give me the information.
Well, the great thing about this program is they wouldn't dare give me the answer.
No. First of all,
it's much more fun for me not to know.
Yes.
Okay. Just like the movie Breakdowns.
In 1947, explain the plot to Breakdowns. In 1947, NC State head coach Everett Case, after winning the Southern Conference, stood on the shoulders of his team and cut down the nets. But, I just like that he was probably wild. He was probably happy. He was like, I'm going home with something. Like, it wasn't pre-planned. He was just like all excited. He's like, I'm coming home with something. I'm taking a souvenir out of here. And that's going to be the net. So shout
hit the brakes.
to Everett Case. Why are you always telling me to hit the brakes so aggressively?
Because I have a cultural version of that same story.
Do you really want to say it?
In the backyards, the parks, and the YMCAs, people have been taking down the nets forever. People take your whole basketball hoop.
All right. It's time to play Keep It Moving. I'm going to bring up a topic that's happening in the world of sports and pop culture. If we want to discuss it, we hit the brakes. If we don't, we keep it moving. Serena Williams is a new mother. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes.
This is confirmed to ESPN at the U.S. Open. In West Palm Beach, television station WPBF is reporting that the baby was born at St. Mary's Medical Center. The baby girl weighed 6 pounds and 3 ounces. Mom and baby are doing well.
The reason why I had you hit the brakes, number one, obviously, so we can congratulate her and get that news out to the people.
Of course.
But sometimes we don't recognize greatness while it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in the United States in particular, tennis isn't considered one of the more popular sports, so we don't talk about it as often as we do football and basketball. But when you get an opportunity and she's back performing, pay a ticket, buy a ticket, and go see Serena play.
Because Serena will be spoken about as one of the greatest of all time for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, people will be talking about Serena Williams and her greatness. And I have one piece of advice for new parents. Is there's one thing you're not prepared for when you have a new child. Is there's this one emotion. You know you're going to feel the love and the tenderness and bring yourself closer to your mate. One thing I am not prepared for before I had children, the fear. Just the fear of it all. Just like the responsibility, the pressure. I remember when I had my first kid, every 4 minutes I would just say, is he breathing? Is he breathing? Is he breathing? Oh, has he stopped breathing? Did he stop breathing? Is he breathing? Is he alive? Is he okay? Is he crying? It's just like there's so much fear. And my advice to new parents, nothing matters. Don't worry about it. They're fine. They're fine.
To keep it 100, you asked me a question earlier of the years I felt like I legitimately deserve to be an all-star. Do you remember what years those were?
2001, 2002, 2003, and maybe 2004.
2000 to 2004.
Okay.
The first 4 years of my daughter's life. I agree with you.
Nice. Good for you. Does that mean if you have another kid, you're going back to the league?
I mean, I'm playing the big three.
There you go. You got it on the wax. Tiger Woods has been cleared to swing golf clubs. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. I hope he cut his hair off. Go ball, Tiger.
Go ball, Tiger. Also, man, we're gonna keep it moving, but look at that toxicology report. Like, come on, Eldrick, you're mixing it all up. Stephon Marbury calls
Future
out.
was looking at him like, man,
like,
he ain't playing around.
When Future's looking at what you're up to, like, oh, that's a lot. You know you got problems. Stephon Marbury called out the big baller brand. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. We're not going to continue to foster that type of energy on this program. I love both of them.
Derek Fisher is joining season 25 of Dancing with the Stars. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Who?
Derek Fisher.
Keep it moving.
First of all, Reggie hit the keep it moving button that time. For the first time in the history of the show, Reggie hit the keep it moving button.
I respect Derek Fisher as a champion and as a player, but
whenever you say something nice, something not nice is coming.
Man, how you gonna crash another man's vehicle, yo?
He crashed more than the vehicle, Jalen.
Seriously?
He crashed more than the vehicle.
Come on, man. You can't be hollering at your teammate's wifey, yo. Because if you get with her, that means you've been eyeballing her.
Oh, no. Before we get fired, thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Enjoy your long weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be back
Come on,
Lonzo
Tuesday.
Ball.